willst. Das brauche ich eigentlich erst später. Soll ich das da trotzdem lassen? Du musst sagen, dass du einen Ausschnitt hast. Und ich habe meinen Computer und habe die Videos hier vorbereitet. Den kann ich auch auf den Boden stellen. To tell you how I did it, I picked out a very old work. It's from 1998. And at this time, we had only SVHS cameras, and editing was still mounting one piece after another. So not like today, you can insert something here or there. It was just, you had to be very concentrated and know what you want to do. And the work I want to show from 1998, it's called The Dancing Lesson. And I dance with a special sort of shoe. I put this picture here to show the shoes. It's a video work. And actually the shoes are already a montage. What I did is I took 4, but actually here only 3 pairs of dancing shoes, and I mounted instruments to them. So I took 2 different things and got a third thing, which, when it's combined perfectly, of course it's a synergy, and it's more than only 2 things. It's a sound shoe. The first sound shoe I mounted flexaton. What's this in English? It's a musical instrument. Here, this is actually the percussion part. There's brooms underneath the shoes, like Pippi Langstrumpf did, Pippi Longstocking, like cleaning the floor. This is the leading part in the video, and here this I created in the metal workshop. This is a percussion part. It's the railway shoe. It goes. It's also actually a percussion part. So all the shoes are montages, and this is the general pause. It's the relaxing and putting the feet into water after the dance lesson. In this time, 98, as I said, we had only SVHS, but digital video editing already existed. Only the professionals had it, or the people who had a lot of money. But we know that sometimes we want to do things that are just ahead, and this was digital video editing. I wanted to split my video picture into 4. So I needed a digital video editing place, and luckily a friend had one already. And normally I edit myself, but there I edited in the end with him, because the 4 sound shoes, they do a 4-score musical piece, so they play together. And you can see it at the same time, and of course hear this 4-score piece. What I like about it is that it's a bit like a dollhouse. Maybe I play just a few seconds. Sorry, I play from the beginning. I stop now. Of course, today this is viewed totally different because at that time we didn't have mobile phones. Few people had cameras, and we didn't have TikTok. So it was quite unusual to film yourself in your apartment, in your private space. This was my a very small apartment in Berlin that I had at this time. And one would not film him or herself at home, not dancing, and then show it to public. Today it's boring for us because we have TikTok. And as I said, it was not usual yet to split the video into 4. Now this is quite usual, I find. At that time it was unusual when I showed it. What of course was not, today still is not like TikTok, is that I produce the sound while I'm dancing and that I have an exact score with it. Actually, you want to know how I did it, right? I had a VHS camera and I set up in my very small apartment, it had like 25 square meters altogether. I set up the SVHS camera, and at that time we only had really small monitors in black and white where we could see a very nebulous picture, so you wouldn't really see what you would film. So I had the camera on a tripod and I attached it to a TV, so that I had a TV screen there and could more or less see what I did. And I arranged all my lamps that I had from the bed and from I don't know where, I arranged around me so that I had sort of a good light. So it's all consumer lights and consumer TV. My apartment, of course, looked like a big mess because I had to push stuff away and put the lamps somewhere. And sometime I could not pass anymore. What I had, although one good technical thing, I had a DAT recorder, so a good audio recording device, and I recorded the sound extra. I started with this scene here. This is the leading scene, and because the technical equipment was not so good yet, I transferred it to a cassette, and I had a Walkman, which I put somehow in my back pocket, and attached earphones. But at that time, the earphones were still like this all. So I took apart the earphones, and then I had a little thing that I could put into my ear and somehow attached it with a don't know what. And so I had the bass voice, the bass I had always on my ear, and then I did the others on top so that they would fit together. So actually, in the moment that I was recording this whole thing, I never heard the 4 voices on top of each other. The first time I heard it was when I went to the editing man, and he put everything together. I noticed that it was far too dense. I had too much sound all the time. And at this time, I paid him. I didn't have so much time in front of the editing place. I made this score here. So actually I made it when everything was shot already. And there's the 4 voices, it's the 4 shoes. And I told myself exactly where I had to have it loud, where I have piano, where I had to make it completely without sound, or where I slowed it down, and so on and so on. So this really, I think I sat there for 1 or 2 weeks to really make a really good score for the sound. I think this is not a montage. A score is not a montage. But this is one, because I put different things together that make a new picture. So this is a video work, which I find is really a montage. I just let it go, it's without sound. Because it's two pictures put together, I create a new content. I think on top this is like Claudia Schiffer. So it's really just like a facade, beautiful facade. And this is, I call Ingeborg Bachmann, because this is how it really is. Sticky. It's called Patex, so that's the name of the glue. And of course, the more interesting part is this one. This is just the, if I would show you this video, you would say, okay, yeah, okay, but what? And of course, this one gets another layer because of this one. I said before that I find that the shoe, this shoe here, is a montage, making a musical instrument out of a shoe by mounting the railway, this railway thing to it. But also, when I prepared for this, I thought choreography actually is not a montage, but at this point it is, because I tried out various things. With these shoes, what's interesting picture-wise, visual, and in the visual way, what's interesting and what's interesting from the sound. And then I came up with certain rhythms and certain pictures and noted them all in my sketchbook. And in the end, really, what did I have? How do I put it together? I was not experienced in making choreographies. I did it like this. I put one after another, and really this is the piece. That's the whole piece here. It's just 1 minute of the piece. The piece is 15 minutes, and all the 15 minutes you can read here. Maybe not everybody, but I can read it here. And so I find this is the montage, and also this choreography is a montage.
And when did you do it? Which year you started to do this part?
This is actually 19... In the piece I showed before, there's the shoe already, but I didn't really know yet what to do with it. I was not so good with it yet. I started really investigating in it, I think, in maybe 1999. End of 1999. Maybe 2000. I started really investigating. Actually, the piece, I want to say something about the piece I showed before, Patex. This was, I think in 2000. And this was still the time when the digital video editing was just starting. And I had a scholarship, Künstlerin Hof die Höge, and they really had an Avid editing device. This was paradise because it had real-time effects. Before, what I showed before with 4 pictures in you always had to, you mounted it together, you had to render it, and then you had to wait for half hour or something until it was rendered. So it was really slow working processes. Now we have almost only real-time effects. And when I came to this Avid, I thought, oh, how wonderful, I put this thing together and I could watch it immediately. It was such a good way of working. Yeah, this was in 2000. And from 2000 on, then things got easier. We started filming in a digital way, and things really got easier. Now it's easy to do video editing. No big deal anymore. At that time it was. I can date the beginning back to when I was 8 years old. And we were living in Hamburg. From Hamburg we came through various reasons. We came to a Bavarian small village. And me, the little girl from Hamburg, I came in this small village school, which was awful. I was allowed to choose if I would take crafts or, what's this in English? Knitting and sewing, or woodworking and so on. And I thought, because I was always good at woodworking and this stuff, okay, I choose this. Crafts and woodworking. And it was a mistake, because I didn't know that I would be the only girl, and that all the boys would hate me for being there, and all the girls would hate me also for being there, and all teachers would also hate me for being there. So everyone hated me, but I did it anyway. It was difficult, but yeah, I did it for 2 years. And somehow this got me to that I really wanted to do this, to know that I really wanted to do this. It showed me that it was important for me. And by the way, I also learned really good knitting and sewing, because I was a bit mad that they said I would never learn this. And I'm really good at knitting and sewing, but also very good at this crafts and woodworking. So now I make a jump. When I started at the Academy of Visual Art in Munich studying, I had to paint and draw and so on, and I was never so good at painting and drawing and the two-dimensional stuff, and I was a bit lost. And at that moment where I noticed that I can also get all my stuff from knitting, sewing, my crafts, my woodworking stuff, all that I loved so much as a kid, when I brought this into the art academy and started montage, at that point suddenly it became easy. And I think the first montage that I did was, I was a flamenco dancer also at that time, and I took the stuff from the flamenco dance, all the props that I had there, the castanets and the shoes, the dancing, the zapateado, that's the work that the feet do. I put this into my sculptural work. And the first sculptural work I did was that I danced with my flamenco dancing shoes. I put big spikes underneath, and I danced on a utong stone, so on a plaster stone, and destroyed it while dancing. This is how everything started. From there, I think I'm still doing sort of the same thing. I keep doing the same thing. I dance or I move, and through my movement I change the visuals, and at the same time the sound is very important while I do this. So I always do I do choreographies, but the sound is more important. So actually it's always a composition and a montage. To create a good performance, I think the most important thing is that the setup is well developed, which of course is a long process. And I have this work which is called latex that you just talked about. It's a latex dress, a tight latex dress that I'm wearing with a wide skirt, and this wide skirt is mounted to the floor. How do I do this? You always want to know. Of course, in most places I cannot mount it to the floor, but I put a big metal plate inside and I'm standing on it. It looks like it's mounted to the floor. Also, my hair is mounted to the ceiling to some pulleys, and on the other side there's a sewing machine hanging, so my hair is pulled up. So I'm pulled down and I'm pulled up. And this looks really easy when you see it, but of course it was a long, long way to develop this, because I knew that I wanted a dress on the floor, and I made really a nice dance jersey dress, like for a prima ballerina in rose pink, but it was torn. when I leaned into it and jumped, it was torn apart. So in the process of doing, I found latex, and I had to find out how to make a dress with the latex and how to mount it so that it wouldn't be torn. And when I had this ready, I noticed that the latex is completely airproof. So if I would turn around myself, this dress would be would go around my feet, and I would have a big bubble here. And then the idea came that because I'm always movement and sound connected, I put mouth sirens, so little instruments, into the seams, and they, when I turn and I have a pressure here, air pressure, they go until the air is gone, Okay, press it out, and then really until all the air is out, and then when I stand up again, then the air comes in also through this instrument, also goes, and this whole piece is playing with the air going out and coming in. At the same time, the latex also, I noticed, has an interesting sound, other than the jersey, which doesn't sound at all. It has a percussive, it's a bit of a percussion also when the latex is moved. And just in this piece, it's a montage of interesting visuals with interesting sound that is created while I move with this. So when I practice a performance, when I develop it's always a back and forth between the workshop and the stage or the studio. I always have to go back and forth. I try to dance a little bit in it, and I notice, okay, here I have to tighten it more, here I have to make it bigger, here I need more volume, and so on. So it's always a back and forth. It's not heavy because it was also a longer process. I tried it with a normal sewing machine, but this hurt me too much. And then I bought a plastic sewing machine, or I got an old from it was a present from someone. It was broken, and I took out the motor and everything. So it's not very heavy, and it's from the pulleys. It goes like Flaschenzug. I don't know what this is in English. Goes up and down, and then in the end the weight is less. It's half of the weight of this machine, so it's not a problem. And because you ask for, I have to be physically strong, and how does this work? I mean, it works because I develop it over a long, long process. It's at least half a year that I need until nothing falls anymore, nothing breaks, and everything works well. And while I practice all this, I get the strength that I need. I get the physical ability to do this. And then in the end, if it's well developed, then performing is really easy. I'm a good seamstress. I know how to sew very well. And actually, I would like to be a fashion designer, always. But the fashion world is a bit unbearable for me, so this is why I ended up in the art world. But still, I love to create costumes. And the costumes I find interesting, also for performing, is the ones that change my body shape. So in the piece Reservereifen, in English it's spare tire, I try to wear spare tires. I try to wear tires. I was searching for old tires. You get them for free in the tire, whatever this is called. I got them for free, and they offered. I wanted to go completely into one tire and use it like a Röhnrad, I wanted to be in this tire. And he gave me a big tire. He said, "You can have it for free." And I wanted to put this into my car, and I noticed that I could not move it 1 millimeter. It's so heavy because there is iron in it. It's iron and rubber, and you cannot lift it at all. And I thought, okay, if I fall with this, I can never get up again. It will hurt me. So I gave up on this. But I found out, I took then smaller tires, that I can still, I can put holes in it, which is quite difficult because it's rubber and iron, and you go with the flex and it stinks. But anyway, I managed to, and I went into, with my hands and arms, also with my legs, I went into the tires and found ways so that I could attach myself with handles and with shoes inside the tires. I could attach myself, or I could attach the tires to myself very well. And this is now in the end the dress that I have. I don't have hands and feet anymore, but I have tires. I have circles here and there. And then the evident, the clear thing that had to follow was a dress with a tire pattern on the dress, which someone said, an American girl who saw this said, it must be called roadkill. Roadkill is when you have an animal on the road and the car goes across it and you see the tire pattern on the animal. Well, I didn't call it roadkill because I didn't like this, but still, actually it could be called roadkill because I'm the animal with the tire pattern on myself. And as I described before, this is then a long process. Trying out is the movement with these tires, with these circles, with these tires here. Is it interesting? When it is interesting, how do I have to attach it to my body? Then I got hurt by all the metal sticking out. I had to really find a way to put rubber around this hole. I sewed in the end a tire, and so on. It was a long process, and also then I looked what are the interesting visuals when I have all the circles here away from myself, and yeah, what are the interesting visuals and what is the interesting sound that comes out of it. In the end, I put microphones inside my tires with a wireless system, and I amplify the sound of the foot tires, which is a squeaking of the tires. It's a squeaking and also a rhythmical thing, sound of its own. It's also a rhythmical. It's a music piece and at the same time a dance piece. For the Ersatzteillager performance, what could this be in English? I called it in English Shiva's spare part, because I use a lot of spare parts for cars. It started with collecting. I went around to the auto shops and just collected what they threw away. And I had the whole garden, the yard I had full of auto parts. It looked awful, and the neighbors and everyone was just looking, well, what she's doing, this is a garbage, I don't know what. And I didn't know either, because this is something you actually cannot wear. I wanted to wear all this and make a different, you cannot even call it costume, but still wanted to create an interesting figure or creature. And it took me a long time I mounted things on a helmet and on very this thing that is for percussion, for this. So there, I found devices where you can really mount heavy parts, heavy car parts to them, and tried also, because how do you move with this? How is this going to be interesting? I thought I'm not in a good way, but in the end I found that I mounted, for example, something on the helmet that can turn up here, and I mounted something on this percussion device that also could turn and go up and down, and of course other things that I mount to my body. And then slowly, one by one, I noticed, okay, this can be a choreography, this can be interesting. License plates also, and also my long way. I had a basic costume, a black basic costume, and I had electromagnets in them. This was a long developing process because there was magnets all over. I think at least 6 or 7 magnets, and I had a glove which was attached to the electromagnet. And if I would touch like this magnet would go on, and again it would go off, and so on, and here and there. So this took me a long time to learn when this goes on and when this goes off. So the lightweight stuff I could also attach to my body and then go like this, and then it would fall. Go like this, and then I could attach something else. It's a magic glove that I developed there. And also underneath my feet I had in the shoes electromagnets, and I could also attach stuff. The piece I liked, I think is most interesting as a small piece, is that I took license plates and attached them all over on the magnets, and I really have a dance with the license plates going here, going there, going there. It's an acoustic piece, and also always looking very different until all the license plates are gone. Technically very complicated, this magnet stuff, but I developed it at the beginning of the Corona times, and this piece can be shown completely without electricity or light. It's all, that's what I wanted to do, it's all in itself. I come with a big wagon with all these spare parts, and I have a auto radio, a car radio, somewhere here. I can put on my music. And I stand on this wagon and perform there. So it's all, this is what I thought, I can go with this thing to a marketplace and I can just start performing. The project I'm working on now is called Warten, Szenen aus der Zwischenwelt. So it's waiting, scenes from an in-between world. So I just want to wait on stage, because I thought, what do we need in these times? We don't need so much action, or so it's action enough, I just want to wait. So, but how does waiting become a performance? And I think the main scenes are really waiting, but then there's transition scenes where I go from one scene to the next, and this is actually because I will have microphones all over on my costume. It will be very loud and very big visuals when I go from one scene to the next, and then I wait again. And one thing about that I'm learning now is archery, because I thought this is it's big tension, and I just wait in this gespannte Stille, in this silent tension for very long. Maybe I don't even shoot. Or maybe I do this again and have this silence. Maybe at one point I shoot. And there will be a big clock with a pendulum. And I imagine that I shoot on this big pendulum. And then the time starts running. Whatever. This is only pictures in my head. It will be in end of the year. Will be there, the performance.